Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, NATO is very, very angry. NATO in his whole is very angry with the Russia. In addition to the preparations that are in progress aimed at joining Ukraine to be able to destabilize as not possible Russia in order to be able to really militarily put Russia flat. In addition to this, NATO has just noted that Russia still has at times violated their airspace during only 18 seconds. 18 seconds, they even timed it. That is to say, the current situation is such that many observers ask the question, aren't these inventions? Just to be able to accuse Russia and find a military argument to be able to justify attacks futures which will be exercised against the Russian Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come very, very serious. I tell you, the global geopolitics has taken another turn of phrase as part of this conference, Geopolitics, dedicated to current events global. This is, of course, what we are talking about. Let's talk. But before we continue, I'm going to see a lot of sharing. Share the conference as much as possible. Share the video conference as long as you can. Don't forget to put a lot of likes and leave always your different opinions in comment. If you don't have an opinion particular, just put in comment, hello, Samurai. That's it that it is. And then if you are new here, click on the button subscribe. Subscribe. The button subscribe. This allows you to no longer miss my video conferences. Let's go deep with the facts. How did it go? 18 seconds of tension in the sky ball, and it happened on Tuesday evening in the sky of who does not bar it. Tuesday evening, this Thursday evening, I was going to say in the Kybartal sky, that's in Lithuania. It is on the western border of the Lithuania. Rustic devices are affected a Russian Su-30 fighter jet, the type of aircraft that Russia sent to Venezuela. So this fighter plane, escorted by a tanker plane, a 2.78. These are the two planes which, according to Lithuania, according to time, penetrated airspace at the western border level, western Lithuania. So the two planes flew about 700-meter altitude, The two planes flew about 700-meter altitude and remained 18 seconds in Lithuanian airspace, not even a minute. So look at the timing. And that's why some say that it's something invented, certainly. Maybe these planes were leaving and then there you go, they just branched off a bit and then there you go. But was it intentional? But all that, NATO capitalizes to estimate that it is a first provocation which is no longer tolerable Russia's share. They must not tolerate it anymore. Let's go again in the depths. I'm going to see a lot of share. Please share the conference. So what is the immediate reaction that happened? It must be said that from Zero fighter Spanish Tchiani, the ZFA are the state-of-the-art aircraft that NATO is using a lot of confidence. So these two Euros fighter, which are integrated into the mission of NATO in the region, immediately took off instantly to intercept the Russian formation. So the two Euros fighter, we made them take off to go intercept. That is to say, those who say that the plane came in, it was 18 seconds. How long did they understand? That the plane, these two planes penetrated the airspace so that they have the time to inform, the time to give the information, the time to prepare the planes for the takeoff. We still know that military aircraft are ready takeoff. The time to even start already to light the planes so that these planes take off. When you calculate all this, you understand that it is either a big lie, either he had prepared for this. He knew the route of the Russian planes. So they prepared. They knew when these Russian planes were going to arrive there. And so even before they arrived, they have took off their plane to justify to go and provoke Russia and justify that, no, they entered airspace, they spent 18 seconds. 18 seconds, I thought we was going to say 18 minutes at least, but 18 seconds, not even 30 seconds. Let's go in the depths, please. Share the conference. I want to enough sharing. It is necessary share. There you go. As and when you share the conferences, this helps us, allows us to have more subscribers and our audience is expanding. This allows us to disseminate real information in real time, on a large audience. Let's go. So we have to say that 18 seconds are enough to remind us that the war d'Ozur is also played in the air. 18 seconds, with signs of calculated provocation. That's what was calculated, that's for sure, So, what are the likely motivations from Moscow? According to several experts NATO, Moscow is testing the NATO reaction. So for them, these express overflights allow Russia devalue the reaction times of the forces of NATO stationed in the Baltic. For them, it's a way to test reaction time of NATO. Is NATO in case violation or in the event of attack? NATO can react as quickly as possible, or and so on and so forth. According to these NATO experts, it's a political message. Moscow shows that no alliance borders is not safe, especially when London and Paris launched their coalition volunteers. And it's also a historical reminder. The Kibartai region is located not far from the Russian enclave of Kaliningrad, and therefore a heavily military stronghold, armed and guarded. So, according to these observers of NATO, it is a way for the Russia to maintain pressure psychological on NATO, while demonstrating the operational freedom of its air force. But on the NATO side, the reaction was immediate, whether it was on the NATO or Lithuanian side. The Lithuanian Ministry of Defense speaks of an unacceptable act and an attack direct to the sovereignty of the country. For Lithuania, it is an act unacceptable and it is an attack on the sovereignty of Lithuania. The first Lithuanian minister reaffirmed that each centimeter of the national territory is protected, so NATO forces maintained their alert posture maximum by strengthening the patrol joint air force. But ultimately, finally, what are we facing? Isn't that a provocation? Isn't it really not a provocation on the part of, or an imaginary thing from NATO, just to have a justification for being able to attack Russia militarily? Big point of questioning. What remains clear, we will continue to follow this news closely. Everything that goes resulting from it, we will come back to talk about it here on the platform of Awakening Consciousness. Thank you all. I wish you come back later.